Well, y'all, look, it's another War Rapport Wednesday Zoom version. It's a little different, but still great. Same content because we got Mike G from the War Rapport. Mike, we finally get to talk. It's been a minute after an Auburn win, massive performance at Kentucky. Let's get your initial reaction. What was it like to see Auburn win like that, adjust midstream, and get a big win on the road?
Well, they kind of got back to the basics, Rex. So it was a lot of ditching the RPO and just running the football. Now, Kentucky got out fast in this one. I think a lot of Auburn fans collectively sighed after they were up 10-0. But what Hugh Freeze did in this one was they did not abandon the run. They stuck with it, and Jarquez Hunter got going. And after he did, it was an all-time performance for the Tigers on the ground.
Now, is this the kind of Jarquez we've been expecting? Because again, Tank Bigsby took up a lot of space and a lot of
He
snaps
did.
when he was there, and Jarquez was kind of like, okay, this is the next guy. Jarquez explodes for what, like 278 yards on 23 carries, a pair of touchdowns. Is this the guy we were expecting all season long?
It was the guy I was expecting. So I'll leave the listeners with this. Before he played a single down at Auburn, I told our listeners that he had a chance to finish top three in rushing in Auburn history. Everybody called me crazy. He's 500 yards away from doing that, Rex. So with another performance like this past Saturday, he'll be right in the mix. He's just like 100 yards away from moving from the fifth spot into the fourth spot. But he's always had this capability. He's a strong runner. A lot of people don't know this, but he squats close to 700 pounds. He's absolutely a load to stop. And you got to give him the ball. You've got to go what works right now. So what they did was they took the ball out of Peyton's hands. They simplified the decisions that they were asking him to make, and they gave the ball to Jarquez Hunter, and it paid off in spades on Saturday.
You said 700 pounds, so this man is like squatting people's cars.
Yeah, he'll put all your problems on his back and squat it.
Well, look, it all worked when we put on his back. And as you mentioned, the fact that you just brought up that he's like 500 yards away, I get that a lot of other schools
Mm.
have put out some incredible running backs directly across state lines in Georgia. But to be that elite company with guys like Carrion, Tank, Bo Jackson all in the mix, what can we witness from a guy who can live up to that kind of hype or have that kind of performance in Lexington? He could be an all-timer, right?
Yeah, look, there's only 4 games left in the regular season. Auburn's goal now is to make it to a bowl game. I think if they get to a bowl game, he's going to end up top two or three in Auburn history in terms of rushing yards. But look, it's rare to have a guy play all 4 years in college, especially when they're as good as Jarquez Hunter. But turmoil at Auburn is the only reason he's still here and has a chance to break those records. So I think we can expect through the next 4 games to see them lean into the strategy on Saturday. You got to simplify this thing down, man. Hugh Freeze sounded defeated last Saturday in his press conference. It was good to hear him talk after a win for a change. And now look where they're at. You got to give Jarquez Hunter the ball. You've got to give Malcolm Simmons the ball. You've got to get Cam Coleman the ball, and you got to get Keandre Lambert Smith the ball. That's what they did on Saturday. That's what we told our listeners we hoped he would do, and he did it. So those guys have to shine for you. I think Jarquez Hunter is the best player on this team for a reason. In the preseason, he was voted first team All SEC. I voted for him. A lot of our peers in the media voted for him, and it was a shame that Auburn wasn't able to use a guy who everyone knew would be a star.
And maybe a silly question, but this has to be the identity of this team because it hasn't worked for weeks now. This works. Is this the identity of this team? Just be old school running and basically give the ball to 27?
Yeah, I think that what you saw was early in games, they would abandon the run or they would not emphasize the run. And then they would get them going late in the second quarter. But by that time, it was too late. And this team is not built to play from behind. Scoring has been an issue all season. I've told everybody who would listen if Auburn could average 24 points a game in Power Four play, they might be a 6-1 team right now. It's crazy. They might be a one-loss team. So you've got to continue to feed him. The defense is playing well enough, Rex, to win games. They're playing outstanding, and they're playing freshmen on that side of the ball. So we're seeing the development happen over there. It's just not happening on the offensive side as much as we thought it would. But it's not because they're not talented. So yeah, this is the strategy moving forward. It's get Jarquez the ball. He's the best player on this team. Manage Peyton Thorne and continue to get your dynamic wide receiver core the ball.
Now we come up to a Vandy team, and this is not your daddy's Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia. This is a familiar name. Sorry to bring up bad memories, Auburn fans, but remember, this was the guy with New Mexico that ruined everything. But Mike G, talk about it. Like what Vandy did with Texas. I thought they were going to get another top five win, and just all of a sudden, as you mentioned in previous episodes that we've done of this, they are now world beaters and giant killers. What can we expect from a Vandy team that is honestly pretty mad that they let one go in Nashville?
They've been tough all season. I think that they validated their win over Alabama by beating Kentucky. They played Texas to a 3-point loss in Nashville. And look, this is a well-coached team. That's what it boils down to. But Diego Pavia is going to be a load to stop. Hugh Freeze said today is his press conference, or Monday his press conference. He said, "I'm sick of that quarterback," and I bet he is. He's beat him twice now. But look, Auburn has the defense to slow them down. It's going to be, do they have the offense to outscore Vanderbilt? The game's going to be in your house. Nobody had this pegged as a good win before the season started, but now it would be an outstanding win for a team that just barely fell out of the rankings after losing to Texas. I thought they should have held on to their rankings, and Missouri should have dropped out, honestly. But they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough. Well-coached teams are always tough to stop, and that's what Vanderbilt is right now.
I'm right there with you because if Mizzou gets shut out after what they were, top 10 team, and then they
Zero
basically
points.
no zero. They
0 points.
they scored. You and I scored as many points as Mizzou. So I agree with you that Vandy should have been in the top 25 still. Now, at the same time, this Vandy team is built to play a deliberate pace. They basically play keep away. But now, could this be a pretty fast game? Because if we're both run heavy and take our time with the ball, would you say that the room for error is really small this upcoming week?
Yes. But if the defense does what they normally do and the offense does what they did last Saturday, then maybe it's not that small. Look, you beat out if you're Vandy, you beat Alabama because you held on to the ball for 42 minutes in that game. And Alabama still scored 35 points in 17 minutes of possession. So Vandy, they executed the only version of that game plan they could have to beat Alabama. If you're Auburn, you got to keep the ball away from Diego Pavia. That means sustaining drives, get turnovers like you did on Saturday. They can turn it over. So you got to take advantage of the opportunities that you're given. And they did that on Saturday. If that extends to this Saturday, you're going to see an Auburn win likely.
And now it's a quality win, which is still kind of crazy for us to wrap our heads around. Hey, look, we've been very fortunate to have you as part of War Rapport Wednesday, and now the War Rapport brand is growing. A big shout out to a YouTuber and apparently friend of the program, Funny Man. What was your reaction like when a suspicious Alabama suspect said follow the War Report?
He's a good friend of ours, so we appreciate the shout out. But he also believes that we do good work, which obviously I believe that we do good work. But I laughed a little bit because everybody saw it before me. I got I got the text messages and they were like, "Funny Man gave you guys a shout out," and I was like, "Oh, I mean, if you go over to his channel and subscribe, I know if you're not an Alabama fan, then you might think, why would I subscribe to that?" He's pretty funny reacting to how Bama fans watched week 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. It's really good stuff over there. Over 100,000 subscribers, Rex, on YouTube. So always an honor to have somebody of his stature on YouTube shout us out.
And honestly, I have to agree with Mike G here. He is so funny because it's just a simple concept. People in the SEC watch these games a certain way, and if you are an Alabama fan, I've showed it to other people. They know him, and for the most part, they agree with him. It's hilarious how he also dogs on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Just go watch it. It's funny. You do excellent work, Mike G, and we're always blessed to have you with us. Now, real quick, how are things unfolding if Auburn plays like they did in Lexington, like they do at Jordan Hare against Vandy?
Look, you got to win 3 out of your last 4 to make a bowl game. That means that you're going to have to pull 2 upsets. Now, technically, Auburn is favored on Saturday, but this would be an upset. The way this season has gone, this would be an upset for Auburn to beat Vandy. And ULM is after that. Texas A&M absolutely would be an upset. After they beat LSU, they jumped up quite a bit. And then Alabama at the end of the year in Tuscaloosa, that obviously would be an upset. So it would be a really, really good finish for Auburn to make a bowl game. That's where they have to set their sights, create some positive momentum headed into the offseason so that you can, number one, Rex, hold on to that great recruiting class that you brought in 2024. Those guys have to continue to believe, and losing does affect your locker room culture. So you got to give those guys something to hold on to going into next year, and that means beating Vanderbilt, beating ULM, and splitting Texas A&M and Alabama. Quite honestly, I think Auburn fans would rather have the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa. They haven't won there in 14 years, but getting the win this year, which, by the way, is a very beatable Alabama team, I think would be a great way to cap the season.
Now that would be something crazy to end the season. If things fall the right way, we could see Auburn in a bowl game. But Mike, as always, we got to let the people know where they find you, especially the War Report. Hey, Funny Man wants y'all to go find the War Report. Mike, where can they find us?
Just check us out on YouTube, Rex. We're the War Rapport on YouTube. Hit subscribe, hit join to join our community. We got lots of great content going for you there. Follow us at the War Rapport on every social media platform, and follow me on Twitter. I'm at Mike Gittens, all one word on Twitter.
And he's also a man of many talents because you're not only just doing Auburn stuff, you got another side project going on.
Locked on UCF. The Knights they've got their own losing streak they're dealing with now with a coach that we know very well here at Auburn. But yeah, that project is going well. We're growing that community as well too. So if you feel like it, head on over to YouTube and subscribe to Locked on UCF. Lots of great content over there too.
He's a man of many talents, and I swear he has a battery in his back. Thank you, Mike G. As always, appreciate you. That's another edition of War Report Wednesday.